share, subscribe. If we're lucky, we get to live about 100 years on this earth. Now, based on your perspective, that might be a short amount of time or a long amount of time. But regardless, whether you get 100 years, you get 50 years, or you get less than 1 year, I feel like it's all about how you view life, how you utilize this time, and the type of impacts that you make on the people while you have time on earth. And I think the biggest thing with people, or at least with me, is that we try to rush processes. We try to get from point A to point B as fast as possible. We might try to skip steps. We might try to just, circumvent certain hardships and struggles and learning processes that we have to go through in order to break through that wall that's been, keeping us from our goal all this time. I've been a victim of this way of thinking my whole entire life. I'm very lackadaisical when it comes to some things, and because I'm lackadaisical, sometimes that causes me to not put in the work at a consistent, steady pace, but then expect the results to come. So then I try to put in months, years worth of work in like a very short amount of time, maybe weeks. And I wish I could reference my 28 days with no food challenge that I did a few years, probably like 6 years ago when I was in college, because that's like the perfect way to encapsulate really everything that I'm talking about right now. My whole life, I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to have, that beach body.
I mean, at least we have each other.
Yeah.
And all that running is good for your buns and thighs, right?
Yeah, buns and ties.
That I'm pretty sure like 90% of men envision having. Although I do have muscle and I do enjoy my build, I want a more, shredded look. I want a more muscular look. But some people are born kind of like that, like some people are just born smaller, so they have that look. But a lot of people really have to work and grind in order to get to that level. And that's just something that escaped me for a long amount of time. I just felt like, woe is me. Like I should have this and I don't want it, and I'm not getting the attention I want, and, kind of sulk or do whatever, rather than doing exactly what I needed to do and really lock in and focus on what I'm eating and how much I'm exercising in order to get to that goal that I've always envisioned. So I did the 28 days with no food, and I think I started off at like 225. I ended up at like 198, and it was awesome. As far as like the results, the process was terrible. Like I couldn't go to class some days. I couldn't make woohoo with my girlfriend. If you play Sims and you know what that is. I couldn't really do anything. My energy was low a lot of the day. I couldn't play basketball, and I wasn't really talking to nobody about it because I didn't want to feel shame. I didn't want people to look at me like, why are you starving yourself? And you look fine, bro. Like, why are you starving yourself in order to, lose weight? But it was a mental thing, it's something that I had to go through because I just didn't know what else to do, or I didn't want to do the long way of, eating broccoli and doing this, that, and the third, and lifting weights and yada, yada, blah, 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 and running laps and all this stuff. I just wanted to do the fastest thing possible. And of course, that didn't stick, that didn't last. Like, yeah, I dropped the weight, but I gained a lot of it back in like 3 weeks because I ate the same. I didn't really learn anything new. I did learn that I had the willpower to not eat for a whole month, if I really set my mind to it. And I learned that, in order to do that, you have to be mentally strong. So I did learn that I am a mentally strong person. But how can I apply that mental toughness in much healthier ways and not literally killing my body from the inside out? And all of this is a process, right? It took me years in order to get to this moment. I like who I am now more than I like who I was then. And I feel like that's what life is all about, making steps every single day, learning and adding to yourself, and just trusting the process of becoming your perfect self. But this takes time. Like, this takes days, weeks, months, years. It's a slow process. And this brings me to my point of the video. I feel like people should adapt the turtle method. Now, this might be a thing. I don't really know. I feel like I made it up, but it's really not so special that you've never, heard of an idea like this before. Everyone's heard the story of the tortoise and the hare. Long story short, there is a turtle and there is a rabbit in a race. And the rabbit, super fast, super cocky, like, hey, what is this turtle doing trying to race me? There's no way he can beat me in a race. So he's not worried at all. He knows he's going to get from point A to B extremely fast. There's no way that this turtle can beat him. So the race starts. The rabbit just shoots off. He's like, man, This turtle was nowhere near me. I think I'm gonna, stop at the lake and drink some water. I'm gonna talk to these little bunny rabbits on the side of the road, see what they on later. I'm gonna eat some grass. Ooh, I found some carrots. Let me eat some of that. I'm gonna take a quick nap. Let me just sit under this tree. I'm gonna take a nap. This turtle is not going to beat me in this race. Meanwhile, all the turtle can do is move at its own speed. It can't really focus on anything that the rabbit has going on. It can only focus on what it's doing. So step by step, the turtle eventually crosses the finish line. The turtle wins the race. Meanwhile, the rabbit, he wakes up last minute like, oh man, I slept too long. Let me run as fast as I can. And he runs, but by the time he gets to the finish line, the turtle is just crossing. And that just goes to show, just because you're the quickest, just because you're the most talented, just because you're the most popular, just because, you have the most gifts, that doesn't mean that that person, that entity is going to get to their goal quicker than you will. Because the one thing that the turtle had was focus. It had a goal, it had a plan, and it had a purpose and a way to get there with no distractions. Nothing could move it, nothing could shake it, nothing could stop it from putting one foot in front of the other every second in order to move closer to that finish line. And I feel like if human beings thought about life in that way, I think people would just be a lot more successful in general. You don't have to cross the finish line as fast as possible. You don't have to be a millionaire by the time you're 18, by the time you're 25, by the time you're 30 or whatever. Maybe that's what God has for you. Maybe that's what the universe has meant for you. Maybe not. But at the end of the day, why would that stop you from making the steps and doing the things that you want to do? Every single day, you have to try. You have to have it in your heart and in your mind that you're going to do the things that are necessary for you to do in order to get to where you need to go. No matter on what the results are, no matter on what you feel like your progress looks like, these things stack. These things add on top of each other. So don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Just look straight. Things build up over time. Like I will always reference this wall. This wasn't like this at first. You can go look at my first videos and this might mean nothing to people, but I have stressed over my background because I don't want no naked wall. But piece by piece, I found things around my house. I got some things that weren't that expensive and I added to my aesthetic. I'm letting people see who I am. I'm showing people slowly who I am, and I'm getting more comfortable, and I'm trying at my own pace. It may not be the fastest. I may not be getting the most views. That's not what this is about. This is about me doing something that I've always had on my mind, that I've always had on my heart. And no matter who's around me, no matter what my surroundings are, what my situation is, no one's gonna stop me from taking those steps as I see fit. So keep putting in the work, keep putting in the effort, like step by step, day by day. You will get to where you want to go. You will get to your destiny. You will get to your destination. Whatever is meant for you will be yours. Flashback, quick thoughts. My dog comes running every time he hears that noise. You got something to say, buddy? Don't lick my mic. I love you though.